Hey Sam, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm really good.
I really appreciate you doing this, Sam. So the idea of this really is to help other people that perhaps sign up to any of the courses to get a deeper insight into somebody that's experienced this, that's gone from maybe where they are right now, ultimately to where you've got to and what you're doing today and your journey along the way and how exciting it's been.
Yeah.
Because most people, and as you know, um, is going to feel stuck. They're going to feel like perhaps there's no end to their discomfort.
Mm.
So what I'm going to do is you're the one that experienced all of this. So I'm going to let you have a little waffle and
I'm good at
explain things
that.
from your point of view where it started before you even perhaps before we even met. Okay,
Yeah.
so to give people some hope, to give people some direction that they too
Yeah.
can achieve what you've achieved. So Sam Dobson, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah. Gosh, it's a long, long time ago. Um, and wow, I'm actually quite overwhelmed that we're doing this in a timely recording now because it's nearly 9 years to the day.
Wow,
Um,
it
oh,
is, isn't it? I've got a
yeah.
few notes here. I've got very few notes, but I've got a note saying back in 2015. But of
Yeah.
course, problems for you obviously started long way
They
before that.
started way before then. So I was working for a very big high street pharmaceutical company and had been quite happily for quite a few years and had got swallowed up by the I must succeed, I must do better, I want to climb the ladder. But I'm also a mum and have a busy life at home, and I'm also a very creative person. I always want to do stuff that fills my cup. So juggling work and trying to squeeze in time for me became very hard, and it was less and less. It was literally work, work, mum, work kind of life.
Yeah.
And looking back, I can see that now. But when you're in that moment, you feel that this is what life is and this is what you're meant to do. That the more you work, the more reward you'll get, which means you can do more at home or go to nice places or pay for nice things. But the reality of that, when you stop and reflect on it, is not necessarily the case. And so you get into this cycle of I must do work harder, I must do more to please more people, to get promotion or to be recognized. And the strain of that on myself, to do more, to earn more, to be able to do more,
Hmm.
and to be mum more, really took its toll. And back in 2010, the end of 2010, I was starting to see my body was giving me signs, but back then, not realizing what was happening, I ignored it all and just continued to struggle, not nourishing my body in the way that it needed, not resting my body the way it needed, and just to keep struggling. And then in January of 2011, I crashed hugely. I had had something going on at work where I wasn't supported. I'd asked for support, and I got to a place where I woke up to go to work, get the kids to school as you normally would. I'm just turning my phone off. There we go. And I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. I was literally stuck. My body was in so much pain. my eyes wouldn't open and see daylight, didn't want to see daylight. Any noise was too much and I just couldn't function. That was it. It was shut down, literally shut down. And from that day, there was a series of events which we could talk at length, but I'm not sure that they're that relevant. But in a nutshell, I had from 2011 to 2015 when we met, was a series of event of just going to the NHS and waiting for the next consultant or the next GP to do another test that might be the miracle that would help me, and that they would have an answer or a pill that would fix my broken body. But every time, and I might have waited 6 months or 18 months for the next person to come along or the next test to happen.
Yeah.
And
At this time, Sam, had you had a diagnosis?
not at that point.
No. Okay.
No. So the next sort of 18 months, I would say, from that crash in January 2011, it took 18 months to get a diagnosis. So I was off work, the stress of being off work and feeling a failure,
Okay.
and took its toll. That added to the levels of
Yeah, sure.
failure. And then, yeah, through tests, 18 months, I got a diagnosis. And these tests weren't to actually give the diagnosis, they were just to rule out what it wasn't.
Okay. What did they want to rule out that it wasn't?
So they were ruling out diabetes, cancer,
Yeah.
all sorts of immune system stuff.
Autoimmune type stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
Lupus,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. Got you. Okay.
And it was none of those. Everything
Okay.
was negative. I'm perfect, apparently. All those tests told me I was fine.
Okay.
And I'll come to how I reflect on that maybe a bit later and what I now know.
Sure.
Through working with you, and then you then go on a huge journey.
Yeah.
We'll come to
You've
that in a
discovered lots
minute.
of stuff that I'm not
Yeah.
completely not aware of, which is great. So
So
what did they end up diagnosing you with then,
yeah, the
Sam, eventually?
diagnosis was CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME,
Yeah.
and all the aches and pains that would travel around my body. There was no rule to those at
Sure.
all. Hang on, I'm just going to close my window because it got noise. Was fibromyalgia.
Okay. Okay. Did they give you any indication of what causes it?
No.
Did anybody listen to what had been going on in your life? What you have explained to the people now?
No.
No. I mean, in all fairness, they don't have a lot of time, do they?
No.
I'm actually working with a few local GPs at the moment, and I'm having sort of similar chats about the time that they get to talk to people, and
Yes.
it's unfortunate, to be fair.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is the issue. They can't work holistically, and yeah. I mean, that's another whole conversation, isn't
It
it?
is. So off the top of your head, Sam, off
Yeah.
the top of your head, just reel off a few symptoms, some of the basic symptoms that you was experiencing, just so people can relate.
So the biggest one was pain. This
Okay.
pain can come in several guises. It can come as physical aches and pains in your joints.
Okay, joints.
And one day it could be your hips, it can be your knees, it could be your back, your neck, your shoulder, whatever. But that it would travel. There was no rule with it.
Yeah.
Pressure pain. So if you're doing a job that would clasp your hands or your feet or whatever, but mainly my hands, you get swellings and that your hands would start to close.
Yeah.
That was one of the most painful things I dealt with, along with jaw pain.
Okay.
Jaw pain would tell me that I would have lots of body stuff coming very soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So tension in the neck and jaw
Okay.
pain.
Okay. So
That was a
you
big
found
one.
that there was some rhyme and reason to things. Is there was some certain patterns that you was experiencing?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then some days I couldn't talk to anybody. I'd literally have to cocoon myself. So
Yeah.
it'd be light sensitivity,
Okay.
sound, and not wanting to converse with anybody. Words wouldn't come.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
my husband Paul would be talking to me, and I'd have a glazed
Yeah. Okay. So very
no
difficult.
response. Yeah.
Okay. So would you suggest that there was a connection with the way that you was living your life socially, interacting with perhaps these situations at work and the conflicts that you was having?
Yeah.
And that on top of the normal stuff that people experience with family. I mean, everyone
Yeah,
has that, right?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Now, of course, though, we have to not rule out. Of course, what this course is all about, as you know, Sam, is about German in medicine and a different approach, a different
Mm,
viewpoint. Rather than seeing these symptoms that you're talking about here and your diagnosis, rather than seeing them as a malfunction, as something going wrong, in fact, they are all very natural biological processes that are happening in
yeah.
order to try to get you back to some state of health, really in order to survive from our primordial brain. Okay, so they're all very natural biological processes. But of course, when we get caught in a cycle between that stressful phase and then you always access the healing phase, we have to, even if we find just a sheet of wallpaper to paste over the cracks just for a moment, if we don't really fully resolve those issues from within ourselves and externally, the cycle will come around and we access and we're triggered into stress phase again.
Yeah.
And then we start going into the healing phase, but we're triggered back into, or we allow the world to trigger us back into stress phase. So this crazy cycle of our body is going through stress and then healing. But we have these, we have to rule out these certain things, and that is over toxicity.
Yep.
Okay, so these are the exceptions to the rule when it comes to German new medicine. Um, if we have too much toxic stuff going in, then our body is going to respond or react to that. Okay, if we have not enough of the right stuff, so a deficiency, then of course our body will then adjust and balance and compensate. If we actually have a physical trauma or we slip over and we break our leg, we know what's gone on. We know exactly what it is. We know that it's not a malfunction, but the processes afterwards we know are a healing phase. So we don't worry and we don't panic about that. But of course, when there's stuff that's not blatantly obvious, like for example, 2 or 3 months ago, we've had this crazy stuff going on in our life. We come through it. Now we've got a bunch of symptoms. Most people are not going to relate to how they're feeling today with these symptoms as being something to do with what happened last week or last month,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, what would you like to say to people about that, what I've just spoken about from your point of view?
Um,
Because this was evidently happening for you with where you was.
oh
All of
gosh.
the key words that I wrote down when you was talking originally about this pharmaceutical company, it's nothing to do with it being a pharmaceutical company, of course. It's
No,
more down to the environment. It could have been any workplace, right?
it could have been any workplace, and I had one particular person that would trigger that stress in me. I didn't even need to be in the same room as them. Their name would trigger a stress response. I
Okay.
would get very, very anxious, and the anxiety was through the roof. Just because I needed to please that person, or there seemed to be no pleasing that person. So there was obviously this part of me that needed acceptance from others. So I think now seeing that and those patterns repeated in my life before then as well. It's when you start to understand how your body is responding to those situations, then the penny starts to sort of drop that that's a whole body response to a certain situation, and I'm in control of that situation, even though you don't realize it at the time. So
Yeah.
to be open to suggestion, and when I first realized all of this, I my mind was blown. This cognitive dissonance went, and then when you just open up to suggestion that this is what is going on, and just allow yourself to drop back and be an observer, it all makes sense when you observe and drop back and just play out situations in your life that have created anxiety or a real emotional response that your body has then gone, oh, I don't like that. If you play it out like you're watching a TV program, perhaps in your mind, it starts
Okay. Okay.
then, and you can start to unpick it yourself.
Mm. So I
Yeah,
think what you're describing there is like disassociating yourself,
yeah.
step back and take a good look at yourself and your life. And is it really this woman, or was it a guy? Was it a woman or a guy? I can't remember
Woman,
now.
it was a
A
woman who
woman,
was,
and find out
yeah,
that it's nothing really to do with her. It was really just some.
my response to it. Yeah,
So
how
your
I,
responses, yeah, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
But it's been an exciting journey, Sam, hasn't it?
it's been it's been an exciting journey, but I think the other thing to point out is these journeys continue. There's no pinnacle point. That was another point of realization that, for instance, this my journey was twofold.
Yeah.
One was this unraveling chronic fatigue, ME, fibromyalgia situation I was in.
Yeah.
And a side note from that was weight gain. I
I'm definitely listening. I'm finding a picture that we're going to show in a moment.
Okay,
Carry
you
on,
find
please.
that picture. Yeah, the knock-on effect from not moving, not being able to do anything was I put on an incredible amount of weight, which then gave me more issues. So I was dealing with or observing and understanding.
Okay.
I've forgotten where I was going with this, but the
That's
weight
okay.
was really significant. Oh,
I'm
you're
just going to
bringing
share a picture for the people to just to have a little look. Look at you.
yeah.
I guess
Haha.
that brings back some memories, right, Sam?
Yeah. Okay, I've remembered this point I was making. So one of my goals was just to lose weight. And again, there was emotional attachment to it that I wanted to be desirable and look fantastic again, and all the rest of it that went with it. But what I actually began to understand that when I had lost this weight, that there's always something else that needs to be worked on, or something else that isn't sitting quite right, and so the journey continues. And where I thought, I'll climb this big mountain, lose the weight, get healthy, and look marvelous and feel marvelous. No, there was something else at the top of the mountain. There was more to climb. So, not to be afraid of whatever is presented in front of you, because there's always some learning. It's always a gift that something is presented to you, because ultimately we're unraveling our own conditioning. This is what I've now learned, is
Yeah.
the way that we live our lives is nobody else's fault, but
Hmm.
for instance, parents, teachers, people that are in our community, we learn and we pick things up, and they're not necessarily our own thoughts or desires, or we just kind of join in, don't we, and
Yeah.
go because it's the done thing.
Mm.
And that in itself, again, another conversation, it creates this unease
Yeah.
within us
Yeah.
because it's not our truth.
Yeah. So we're not living ourselves as how we're supposed to be. Perhaps
Yeah,
we're just living the expectations of other people that have raised us from a long, long time ago.
absolutely. And
We
that
live in conflict.
actually, you then carry something that they've been programmed to do, which they were probably uneasy, and but they did it because they were told to, or it was the done thing, or socially
Mm.
it was acceptable. And then, it goes down the ancestral line. So yeah, there's so much we're unraveling without even
Yeah.
realizing.
So listening to the keywords for you, Sam, acceptance seems to jump out
Acceptance
quite
was
nicely. If people want to rewind and rewatch this, maybe they will. You're going to get a hell of a lot of information from talking to somebody.
yeah,
Everybody is able to do that. When you really talk, when you really listen to
yeah,
somebody talking, you'll find all of the keywords will jump out. Maybe the conversations that you'll have with yourself, the viewers here watching this now, the conversations that you have with people, listen to other people, see what the primary keywords are. What's the most important thing they're saying? For Sam here, it's been acceptance, isn't it? So we
you
overrule, we override what we truly want in order to just get acceptance. But of course, we can get acceptance for ourselves, from ourselves, which is a
it
lot of the
starts with
work that
ourselves.
you went through, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay. So it got to 2000 and where did we get to? Just before 2015, wasn't it? You got to.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've
Okay.
got this diagnosis and then just waiting to be fixed, basically.
Hmm.
A
Okay.
long wait for the next doctor or whatever to come along.
Okay.
Um, I was getting nowhere fast, and in actual fact, I got to the point from waiting and waiting and seeing people and not getting any answers or not getting a tablet or a regime that was going to fix me,
Hmm.
which actually made me sink even further that my life was over, that
Sure.
I was just going to be this fat blob that couldn't be a mum, couldn't be a wife,
Okay.
couldn't, didn't have any significance in the world, no job, no career, no money coming in. Just
Yeah.
what's the
So
point?
all of those alone, all of those little things that you've said there, which are the effects of the original problem,
Yeah,
you just reeled off half a dozen there of other things of how it's going to affect your life.
yeah,
And they will be extra triggers that will
yeah,
activate the body into
yeah,
stress and healing, stress and healing, stress and healing, around and around in that cycle. So it just compounds more and more issues and more problems.
yeah. So that was that compound stuff was happening for a good 4 years, until March of 2015, when I dropped into probably my lowest point. I got pneumonia and ended up in hospital very poorly.
Okay.
And I was nearly 150 kilos. So my body was in real stress.
Yeah.
And I was sat in that hospital bed with an oxygen mask and feeling really sorry for myself. And the doctor was doing his rounds, and he just said to me, if you don't do something about your weight, you will be 6 foot under in 5 years' time. And that hit me like a lead bullet. It just went bam.
Mm.
And I came out of that hospital thinking, I've got to do something. I've got to help myself. Nobody else is helping me. There's got to be a way. I've got to find something. So I began to search.
Mm.
And what I thought I was searching for was just weight loss, how I was going to lose weight rapidly,
Mm.
which was only a symptom of everything else.
Mm.
So at one point, I was even contemplating bariatric surgery, which quickly went out of my mind when I realised what was going on with that.
Mm.
Again, another conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we stumbled a lot. We met because of my mum and what she was doing with her dance school at the time, and I stumbled across your then was Detox Reboot. And I think I said to you, what's that all about then? And the rest is history, isn't it? That after an initial breakthrough call,
Yeah.
which was mind blowing,
Mm.
I felt I needed to just go full in because I'd had nothing else that was remotely useful.
Yeah.
And I
It's
thought,
crazy, isn't it? Because
yeah,
this was around the time when I first discovered German medicine, or back then
yeah,
it was actually Meta Health, right?
yes,
So it was Meta Health, so the European version of German medicine. Over the years, subsequently, I've found and sort of discovered more German medicine is the origins, and I
yeah,
quite like. I'm just one of them people that kind of like to go to the
to the
to the
source.
yeah to the source really. Both are really good. Um, so anybody watching this, if you want to go and study this yourself, you'll find that it's very challenging to start with, very difficult to get your head around the very core basic principles, because the core basic principles are simple but very difficult to get your head around to start
Yes,
with because we've been so conditioned, right? So
yeah,
anyway, so it was around the time when I first discovered um, Meta Health, Sam.
yeah,
So by that time, I'd been a few years into my coaching. So my approach up until that point really was, the Anthony Robbins, and let's get you to change your mindset and get to the
yeah,
root of the problem, and you're going to lose weight and everything else. So that the information that I was learning now with Meta Health, adding that to my skills of coaching and helping people to navigate their mind and overcome their limiting beliefs and everything else. It was a little bit kind of it was an experiment, really, Sam, wasn't
I
it?
was an
For me.
experiment. I'm pleased to be the experiment. It was,
it, it, it
it
was
was a brilliant journey.
it was exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
exciting. I was so excited as well because I just discovered that shit all of these years, because I've always been in the health and wellness sector, kind of here and there, if you like, since I was younger when I first opened my first gym in Canterbury or in Kent. And so I've always been in the game, and I've been one of those people that's always looking for the answer. I've
yeah,
always been looking for the answer because I always believed that there was an answer. We found out that there was.
yeah,
But of course, for many years, you just accept the rule of thumb. You just accept the narrative,
yeah,
the common beliefs around the basics of dis-ease, whether it be people, whether it be fibromyalgia, CFS, ME, or even cancer. You will find and you will discover, if you look into this, is that the symptoms that we experience, although we have references of pain, suffering, and doom and gloom around disease, the symptoms themselves are just a natural biological process that's supposed to happen, that is supposed to get you from where you are in stress, in
yeah,
conflict, and in torment back through to health. And that's what nature designed us to do. And of course, we've misinterpreted all of these signs and signals and symptoms. We don't know how to navigate it. We don't. It's very difficult. One of the most difficult things that anyone will ever do, and you will know this, Sam, and that is to have a word with oneself in a loving, caring way. For some people, they're like, wow, I can't do that, Chris. They'll
yeah,
jump out of a plane or they'll go and do some crazy shit, right? But you say to them, right, how about going home and having a really nice, loving conversation with yourself in the mirror and start getting some acceptance and validation and approval from you? I couldn't do that, Chris. I couldn't do that. Why? Well, I just don't feel right, does it? I don't deserve it. And everything else that comes up.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy. It was a crazy
It,
journey.
one of the key points to change was accepting the point that I was in my life. I think that was a
Okay.
real biggie. was to accept that I had all this extra weight on and that I couldn't move, and that at this point in time I needed to rest.
Yeah.
I just needed to rest.
Okay.
But rest looked different to how I imagined.
Mm.
Rest wasn't just sitting in bed and going to sleep for hours and hours and hours. Rest
Yeah.
was giving my body what it really, really needed. So, good nutrition,
Yeah.
moving, so that it could get rid of all these toxins and things that were whizzing around my body and that didn't know what to do with. And speaking to myself very kindly and lovingly that I hadn't, because I'd been my own worst critic and really quite horrible to myself. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
all those things, I mean, now I have to stop myself still and remind
Yeah.
myself to do those things. But
Yeah.
I know them now, so I can, when life gets a bit fast and furious, because it
Yeah.
does. We're
Mm.
not perfect, we're human, we go with the flow. But you do have to remind yourself to do all those things, and one of them is be your own critic.
Yeah. Be your own
Very
critic.
to be our own
Uh,
critic.
what about when it comes to boundaries? Because I think a lot of people that are going to be watching this, Sam, is they're going to be of a similar type. That's what I've noticed over
Yeah,
the years, working hundreds of people now that don't necessarily come to me with fibromyalgia or CFS. Not all of the time. A lot of them are coming because of family issues and problems and conflicts with people. And it's just a common pattern that I've been noticing over the years, that so many of the pleasery type people, the empathic type people, people that struggle with having boundaries with other people, they don't know how to communicate with people.
yeah,
They just so happen to be diagnosed with these types of illness.
yeah. So boundaries is a huge one for me, and I am still working with those.
Yeah, I think we all do.
um, Initially, when you're needing to change things around you, you need to understand how much you can give, and sometimes it's not a lot.
Mm.
But then having the acceptance again within yourself that it's okay to say, I'm done today, or no, I'm not going to jump up and make you a cup of tea. You can jump up and make a bloody cup of tea yourself.
Yeah,
Small boundaries become big boundaries, because if your body is in recovery, needing to rest, then those things trigger emotional responses. So you might go, yes, darling, I'm going to make you a lovely cup of tea. And inside you're going, ugh. Going, just say, no, actually, it's your turn. I need to sit down, or I'm busy, or I'm about to do something else. That is when those small ones make a big difference. That we need to learn to say no, no, not, I'm not going to jump up and do it just because you've asked. Very often, us pleasers don't ask. That's the other thing. The boundary is that if somebody asks us, we go, yeah, we can do
yeah,
that. And off we
yeah,
trot and thinking, oh God, I'm so tired.
yeah. But it's not appropriate for us to ask for help and things,
No,
right? Yeah,
no. So the other thing I had to get good at was asking for help.
yeah, sure. Okay, okay.
So yeah,
Another,
boundaries twofold, go both
yeah, right.
ways.
Another cause that I've noticed is a rescuers, the people that want to rescue other people all of the time.
Yes.
People that want to maybe fix other people as a means to distract themselves away from whatever it is they're ignoring with themselves. That was a big one I can recognize definitely within myself.
Yeah.
You know, in a roundabout way, I've been suffering with, if you want to label it, I don't really like labels too much myself, but if I had, I perhaps have had at times and periods, like everyone watching this, is fibromyalgia, CFS, and symptoms of what they call ME. They're all
Yeah.
just symptoms. So we all
Yeah.
experience them at certain times in our life.
Yeah.
So not feeling enough, not feeling strong enough, not feeling worthy enough. Can I keep up to date with all of this maintenance of my holiday homes here as I'm
Yeah.
getting older? Sometimes I allow myself to slip. So I will have these consistent pattern thoughts of not being enough, not being strong enough, not being able enough. And if I'm not careful, I'll start getting a little bit achy around my lower back and across the backs of my shoulders. And I have to have a little bit of a word with myself and get myself back on track. And so
Yeah,
everyone is prone to this, but understanding really
absolutely.
what disease, the symptoms of disease are, that's the core principle really that we need to get
I
through.
think that's a really good point, is that, there's no one fix and then you're better forever.
Mm.
This is life change, information that you hold to note what is going on, because as you recover and you do more things, or new things come into your life, and the last 9 years has been really colourful for me. It's gone all sorts of places,
Yeah.
and there have been moments in my life where I think, whoa, hang on a moment, we're going down that road again. And I
Mm.
have to just bring myself back and pause and just allow
Yeah.
myself to
Yeah.
realize what is going on. So yeah, this is life.
Yeah. Happens to everybody. Happens to everybody. It does. Nobody's prone to it. I had a crazy question asked me at one of the talks that I did about German new medicine, and somebody asked me, Chris, so because you know all of this and everything else, you're never going to get ill, is that right? And they were serious and they thought that was true. I said, no, it's not the case. I'm a human being, and there's a crazy world here that we live in. It's more so now, actually, weirdly enough.
Yeah,
But it's a crazy, exciting, fast, brilliant world full of all of these surprises.
yeah,
And if I get symptoms, the difference now is if I get symptoms now, I know that there's something that needs resolving. It's as simple as that. Will I always be able to resolve all of the things that's ever going to happen to me? I'm probably going to struggle with some of them, definitely, just like anybody else.
yeah,
That's just part of being human. But the challenges that some people do have more than others, I guess, is being programmed from a very young age uh, with a need to please and fix everybody else, to live
yeah.
in accordance with the requirements of everything outside of ourselves. And that's the struggle. I see it as more exciting now. I see it more as an exciting challenge dealing with difficult people, because there's difficult people out there. I may well be a difficult person for some of my clients. But
Yeah,
do you get that now, Sam?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, we knowing all of this information, and obviously as new stuff comes along, you kind of want to know it all. Then you want to know everything. It isn't the fix that people. I think this comes from programming as well, that we have doctors, we have nurses, and we go to them to be fixed. Um, we are just continually. I don't want to use the word cycle, because we use that in a different sense. But when we move through our lives, things change all the time.
Yeah.
Everything is fluid, even though it doesn't feel that way maybe sometimes.
Mm.
But one fix isn't going to fix this point in your life. So what I did in 2015, if I have something that happens today, it might need a different approach or a slightly different view, because
Sure.
what was going on back in 2015 will be very different to what is happening now. So we have to be open to everything
Right.
all of the time. There's no one
Okay.
fix.
Mm.
There's no you've mastered it. You will be completely perfect forever.
Yeah, if only, yeah.
Yeah.
We can stack the odds in our favor, is what I think we would like to
Yeah,
think.
absolutely.
We can stack the
Absolutely.
odds in our favor. The primary takeaway from German new medicine, if you're going to take anything from it at all, is this Dr. Harmer back in the late 1970s. He discovered some just natural biological truths about the world and the universe. And it sounds a bit woo-woo, but he just kind of discovered that, whoa, hang on, people. Your symptoms that you're experiencing, whether it be a lump, a bump, a growth, or a tumor, or a breakdown of bone tissue, or inflammation, or whatever it is, It just so happens to be no different than a scab.
Yeah.
A scab is a part of the healing phase, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fact that we can see it and we know what it is and our belief systems around the scab is, it doesn't give us any fear. We know it's there for a little while and it comes away. But of course, what happens on the inside of us is that we've just had to learn and adapt to this process or this system that tells us, they dictate to us what it is. And they may well have got it wrong. I believe so. Dr. Harmer believed that they've got it wrong. Not always. We have our accident and emergency, and don't come and see me and Sam if you break your leg. You know, get caught in a car accident. You don't want to really come and see us.
No.
Um, you go to the hospital where they can take care of you. But when it comes to something deeper, some of the unresolved stuff that happens inside, Sam, I've got a little note here that I need to ask you about this
Go
because you're
on.
going to relate to this one for sure. And people really do struggle. And something that I've discovered talking with people over the years, especially with symptoms of disease and diagnosis, um, there is a part of us for some people that don't want to relinquish their symptoms or their diagnosis, because after a while, for some people, what they get from having the problem outweighs the negative effects of the problem itself.
Yeah,
Let me say
absolutely.
that again. Having the problem can outweigh in a positive way the negative effects of the diagnosis and the symptoms. So, in other words, something in psychology we call secondary gain. Okay. And it's something that we talked about quite a lot, wasn't it?
It was. It really was.
Having you become consciously aware that, hey, Sam, there may well be a part of you, an adaptive part of you. Maybe our shadow, we used to call it, right?
Yeah.
The work that we do is our shadow self,
Yeah.
the adaptive self, that even though it's really uncomfortable, even though it's horrible, even though it's painful, even though my life is kind of like drifting away, it's very difficult to give up this. Can you speak a little bit to that?
It was a real. We spoke about this at length. I think because it took quite. It was a real hard pill for me to swallow this one, because even though in reality I didn't want to be ill, I didn't want to be useless. I had got a lot of attention for being this way. So people would come and visit me, check up on me, and make sure I was okay, or talk to me in a very sympathetic way, and that was quite soothing. And it was filling the love and the connection, I suppose, that I was lacking because I was too busy pleasing everybody. When I had stopped, I was then getting all this love and attention because I was ill. So where I can still have that because I've got friends and all the rest of it, it was coming with almost like a negative connotation added to it. Link, because it was linked to everything that I didn't want in my life.
Yeah.
So even though the love and the sort of people coming around me and noticing me and bringing me the cups of tea instead of me having to make them, it was coming in sympathy or in pity rather than a joint sort of meeting you halfway kind of friendly
Okay.
kind of thing, social interaction. So I was craving that. And
Okay.
so the other attachment was I needed money. And at the time I was on benefits. So I had to live this illness tenfold, because if anybody could question it, I would lose money. That was the other big significant thing. So it was friend connection, social, which is really important to me.
Yeah.
I love talking to people and enjoying people's company, but I also like everybody, like a bit of money to be able to do stuff and buy stuff and
Mm.
just exist. So I had the huge attachment, and probably the bigger one was the money. I
Okay.
had to be this
Yeah.
ill
Yeah.
to receive money.
Yeah.
So it was
Okay.
it was now my job to be ill.
Yeah.
And
This is a real
I
rut to
found,
be in, right?
yeah, I was scared to be well because it meant losing money, which when I now look back on that is crazy, because if you're well, you can go and earn money however which way you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, that was a hard one for me, and then realizing how crazy that was in that
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah. So
because you
that's the
get you,
difficult
you
part about this, isn't it? The secondary gain for people,
I
because
was
yours were just
scared.
those
Fear was a
reasons.
big one with that. There
Yeah.
was a lot of fear
Yeah.
attached to, if I step away from that, oh my goodness, what is going to happen?
Yeah. 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 We see that. I think we all see that.
Mm,
Especially us pleasers and rescuers. I'm not so much of a pleaser and a rescuer anymore, anywhere near what I used to be. But
no,
being a rescuer, we have rescuers around us all of the time. I've many friends and associates and people that I see all of the time. And from the outside, I can see they're rescuers,
yeah,
and it doesn't do us a whole lot of good being a rescuer. Um, it's a secondary gain. People have their own version and variety of that, of how their problems are meeting their needs. What's your
yeah,
advice to somebody that will be struggling with this if they relate to what we're saying? Because it really is the most painful subject, I think, around anything, especially when your identity gets attached to your symptoms. So your symptoms become you,
yeah.
and what you get from that, you don't want to let go of your
No, you
symptoms or your
don't.
diagnosis. So,
You
what's your
don't want to.
advice to somebody that's struggling with this one?
When you're struggling with the attachment to your diagnosis, for whatever reason, whether it is that you have this fear that if I let go of this illness, how am I going to find myself? I am this. Your pain and anxiety and fear and all of these things are attached to your physical illness,
Yeah.
and however it shows up for you
Yeah.
doesn't define you. It doesn't define you.
No.
So the thing that I needed to get in, and the biggest thing that helped me
Yeah.
was asking myself, what did I want to do? How did I want to live? If I didn't have all of those things and I didn't need to rely on benefits, and I didn't need to rely on people coming to me, what how did I want to be?
Mm.
If I had a perfect scenario,
Mm.
endless pots of money, no cares for anything, how did I really want to live my life? So letting go of all of the things that limit me right now, all of the things that are outside of me,
Yeah.
how did I want to live my life? And that was just that exercise of writing things down freely, and then starting to get excited about, oh, but actually I want to do this, and I want to be this, and I would wear these clothes, and I
Yeah.
would do this, and I would live there, and I would bounce out of bed in the morning and leap into the shower and then go for a run, and just really being crazy. And I'd live in a mansion with a massive car, whatever it is that brings you up, connecting with what it is you really desire,
Yeah.
helped me jump out of how I was attached to the things that were around me. And probably if you look back on this and how I'm talking, when I talk about how I was, I physically go down.
Yeah.
When I
Right.
talk about what I want to be and where I am now, I get excited and I light up. So it was
Yeah.
all those little things. And I
Yeah.
can remember you saying to me, Sam, how would you stand?
Mm.
How would you speak to me? What
Mm.
would you do? And then I just started to light up, and you
Mm.
can see that you start to detach
Yeah.
from where you are. So yeah, that was the point of detaching from what was around me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So all of the viewers watching this, there is a course. This video is actually going to be part of a course where we go through all of the processes that I worked with Sam. However, that aside, Sam has become an expert herself, obviously, because if we
Yeah.
overcome a problem ourselves in real time and we learn everything that we need to do in order to go from where we were to where we want to be, that that's an expert. So Sam is there and available, I believe. Sam, is you're there and available to help people on their journey. What
Yeah.
specific
So,
areas do you focus on now? What is it that
oh,
you do now? Because there was some crazy stuff that I got you to do that was really challenging and really difficult, wasn't it? With the fasting.
fasting and nutrition was, yeah, a really something that I had not even considered, hadn't even come into my vocabulary.
Yeah, yeah.
But I got into a place where all I needed to do was just trust and give it a go, because if it doesn't work, you just go back to what you were doing yesterday.
You became pretty good in all of that sector. I was passing
Yeah,
people on to you there, and I was just dealing with the other stuff.
yeah.
Hey Sam, there you go. Sort these people out.
So the fasting and juicing is something that I still do now periodically. It's not something you do forever, but
Yeah,
periodically I will have times where I water fast and sort of go into myself, and I become a bit of a monster on the third day.
yeah. That's it.
But you literally are purging in all sorts of ways.
Yeah,
And juicing is something that I come back to as well. Juicing, I just love the juice master. So Jason Vale is
yeah.
my
Okay.
go-to.
Yeah, yeah.
And if there's anything you need to watch, is Jason Vale's Experiment. It's on next Netflix.
Okay.
He does an experiment.
Yeah,
Fantastic. I
yeah.
do that. It's it literally brings your body back into like calibration, and you feel so energized.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you feel how I did, and I think you've got some videos of me on
Yes.
my very first water fast, I felt really crap. Really, I mean, the worst that I'd ever felt. And in fact, Paul, my husband, was quite worried about me
Yeah.
at one point, because he thought, "My God, you feel." And what we didn't realise at the time was that is your body getting rid of all the toxins.
Yeah.
Toxins can come in all sorts of shapes and disguises.
Yeah.
So I was literally purging the emotion. Anything that was trapped in the cells was coming out.
Yeah.
Literally one end, the other end, every end you could think of. It was by sort of day 3 and 4, well, day 4 and 5, I think, we started to see a change. And where I wasn't able to walk
Mhm.
physically or do things physically, or aches and pains, they I hadn't thought about them, and I was beginning
Yeah.
to walk around the house, and then
Yeah.
I was able to start moving.
Yeah.
My life really dramatically changed. So with that recalibration of the body, and allowing the body to come back into its neutral alkali state, I was able to start undoing other stuff. So move, which is
Like
something I
movement.
hadn't.
That, of course, was another big part of it that we was going to, yeah, talk more
Huge.
to, because at the time, Sam, you was very mobile, wasn't you? It's pretty heavy, pretty
I was
mobile.
really immobile. I was very heavy. From someone who was a dancer in my past life, movement is really important to me. I
Yeah.
hadn't realised how important, how it lights me up. And I'd got into a place where I couldn't physically move. I was walking with a stick. If we were going out for the day, we had to take a wheelchair, which I hated with a passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not myself in many ways, shapes, and forms. So movement was really important, but I didn't know how and where to start
Yeah, yeah,
because I couldn't physically move. And
yeah,
I was
yeah,
scared that if I moved, I was going to get another ache and pain tomorrow morning.
yeah.
So
Some of the ideas that we came up with, can you remember what some of the
I,
ideas were? One seems to ring a bell, and that was just sitting on one of those big round
I've
bouncy
still got
balls.
it. In
You still
fact, it
got
was
it?
in this room at one point, but it's not now. It's downstairs. Still
Yeah,
have my big Swiss ball or exercise ball, whatever you want to call it, Pilates
that's right.
ball.
I think that was an idea that
Nicely.
you came up with, which was great.
I couldn't rebound. So rebounding is
Yeah,
one thing that a lot of juicing people and certainly Tony Robbins does every
yeah,
day.
yeah. Me too.
Got
I've got
those
mine
little
down there.
trampolines. I was too heavy for those.
Mm,
So I couldn't physically get on one of those rebounders as much as I wanted to.
yeah,
And I was also a bit scared because when you go up and down like this,
yeah,
when you've got a lot of weight, everything moves. So everything was going to go up and down. And it's like,
yeah,
that's going to be really uncomfortable. And
yeah.
yeah, there was so much resistance to that ball. And I used to sit on it. And in fact, it was this very windowsill. So
Yeah,
hang on for dear life and
yeah,
just bounce up and down.
yeah, right.
About 3 minutes every morning, every evening. That was where
Yeah.
it started. That was my movement.
And there were some breathing exercises.
Yeah,
Of course,
breathing.
people can. People can reach out to Sam. Please do, people reach out to Sam because she does help people with that was in pretty much the same place that you was, Sam,
Yeah,
to help you through this very essential parts of recovery. I can help you with the mindset. That's probably the easier part. But when it comes to movement and breathing and diet and nutrition and fasting, all those things that Sam, she deals with that. She helps people to go from where she was to where they want to be today. So
yeah,
please do reach out. I'll leave all of your details, Sam, in perhaps under this video somewhere, wherever it's going to end up.
yeah, lovely. Yeah, my passion was and became very quickly when I sort of bounced back into life.
Mm,
So one was I needed to surround myself in this health, wealth, and well-being. So I never went back to where I was, and I
mm.
retrained as a personal trainer at 40 something. That was hilarious
But
because
you've done it though.
I did it,
You've done it.
and I naturally fell into the sector of recovery. So this is my passion, is where people don't believe that there's a way of being able to move and be just live life the way they want to, the way
Yeah,
they desire. They
yeah,
feel that they're in a place where I was, that
yeah,
life is over and I will never be able to do those things again because I have a wheelchair or a stick and I can't get out of the house. That there absolutely is a way. If the desire is there,
yeah,
there is absolutely a way to free yourself from
yeah,
that and to start really slowly but purposefully, and gently and compassionately and all these things,
yeah,
and slowly and very quickly you start to see results, especially with the
yeah,
rebounding.
yeah. It's great. Something that I use all the time.
Mm.
Fabulous. Is anything else you'd like to share with people, Sam, that could come in handy for them to help them on their little journey, or maybe even just make the decision to go from where they are right now?
The
What
first
would you
thing is
suggest?
to step into that decision. If you've got the desire, if the thought process is something like, I don't like the way I am, and I wish I could be a different person, or I wish I could be healthy, slimmer, pain free.
To start focusing on all of the pluses, the benefits of not having your problem.
Absolutely. The the desire, the very fact that you have the desire
Yeah,
is a sign that your body is trying to break free from it all.
yeah,
And the point that you just need to reach out. That is the
yeah,
first thing.
yeah, sure.
And Once you have all the key information, the rest is belief in yourself that you can do it.
Gotcha. Sam, there is, just before we go, there is a there is another little quick subject I'd like to talk about very briefly. Have you got enough time?
Of course.
And that is about groups. Where do you go to get your support? Because very recently, again, I have joined a few groups on Facebook. Now, there is two types of groups, right? There's two types of groups. And one group is about keeping your problem
Yeah. This
on an
was one
unconscious
key
level.
thing for me actually.
Say again?
This was one key thing for me.
Yeah, speak more to that,
Was
please, Sam.
yeah, being immobile, Facebook and being online was a big thing. It was one area that I could tap into to people, and I am online quite a lot now. In fact, I network quite a lot with all sorts of people all over the world.
Yeah,
However, initially, I think when you're in that exploratory or in the point of I'm living what I my diagnosis is. Hang on. I thought it was the
that's all
rubbish
right.
man coming and it was going
That's
to
all right.
create loads of noise. I was living the diagnosis. So the first thing you do is you tap in on Facebook or social media, whatever social media platform you're on, you tap in that diagnosis, and then, oh, Bob's your uncle. There's a nice fibromyalgia ME group. Oh, I'm going to join that.
Yeah,
Let's see if
yeah.
anyone else has got an answer for
Mm,
me. And you join, and it asks you a few questions, all the normal things, be polite and all the rest of it. You join and you think, great, I'm going to get some like-minded people, and they're all going to have similar issues, and maybe somebody has the answer, and they've got something that's going to help me.
mm.
And you go in and they're going, oh God, life is really terrible. I haven't got enough money. The doctor's saying this, they don't believe me. And you're reading it and reading it. And then slowly, oh my God, yeah, I've got that. And I feel shit. And oh God, there isn't any answer to this. They're doing exactly the same as me. And
Yeah.
oh God.
They're all swapping ideas about their medications and what best ones to try and everything
Yeah,
else.
and in actual fact, it becomes a bit of a competition about what dose you're on, and I must be worse than you because I've got these pills and they're much stronger
Yeah,
than that. And yeah,
yeah. Okay. So this is what I've discovered again recently is I've joined a few groups just as a little bit of an experiment, really, leading up to this chat that we're having here. And it was nothing more than an experiment. Um, so there are two types of groups.
yeah,
You will get support groups that will it will be a competition.
yeah,
Now, I suggested not selling my services in those groups. I suggested an alternative idea. That's it. And I think they wanted to hang, draw, and quarter me.
yeah.
Okay.
You will get hung, drawn, quarter. In fact, I did that because I kept in those groups, and once I had done a bit of healing and was firmly on the path of recovery, I was excited and I wanted to share it with these people because
Yeah.
naturally,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Of course.
But yeah, I was, well, you can never recover from ME is one of the thought
Yeah. There's
processes.
no
Once
cure
you've got
for it.
it,
Yeah.
you've got it for life.
Yeah.
Now, when I speak about this situation, I don't blame them
No.
at all because I was firmly there at one point in my life and
Yeah.
really scared and all the rest of it. But what they haven't realised is that there is another way to live your life, and they just haven't found it or got to that
Yeah.
point in their
Yeah.
life. And also, they're living their diagnosis. They truly
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
They get a lot of significance from being that way.
Yeah. There's a lot of social proof that is reinforcing that their problem is there to stay, sadly.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people they're not going to recover, sad
No.
to say. Um,
So the types of groups that I then started to join were I did a lot of reading. and started to read books. Oh, well, Tony Robbins was a firm favorite
Mm.
at the time.
Yeah.
He still is. I still dip in and out of stuff from him. Joe Dispenza was another one.
Mm.
And so finding the groups that had their foundations,
Yeah.
or it was more a discovery of self kind of
Yeah.
groups rather than the diagnosis.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. There
Yeah,
was, in all fairness, just to balance things out, the Facebook groups, the fibromyalgia, ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, autoimmune disease. Oh, there's lots of groups for everything now, isn't there?
yeah.
In all fairness, to balance it out, they wasn't all like that.
No,
There are actually a few groups that are very open, and the people that join some of these groups are very open to suggestion and alternative ideas. And I've had a hell of a lot of people just the last few days reach out to me and ask me, um, what's this German new medicine that you're talking about, Chris? I'm
that's
interested.
really encouraging because I mean, this was, you got to remember that when I did it, it was 9 years ago, and things have moved on since then. And I think since our experience of lockdown, we've opened up to a lot of different
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah,
So
certainly.
that's amazing that people are now, ooh,
Yeah.
sitting up and thinking, there's
All right.
something else. Why don't I
Well,
know
this is
about it?
not working. This is not
Yeah,
working. And if other people are, I guess the obstacle that we need to get over is that not everybody is out to profit. There's
yeah,
people out there that want to make a living, but they enjoy what they do. I love what I do. I love people. I love helping people. I'm a helper and I'm a pleaser through and through, like a stick of rock.
yeah,
And I love to put that into action in the right way, not by rescuing, because that's what I used to do, rescue people, and then feel
yeah,
very resentful because I get nothing in return.
yeah,
But now, of course, being a coach, helping people to get good results makes me feel great. I get paid for doing it. But that's not the primary reason that we do it, is that
no,
that happens to be just a bonus of helping people.
yeah.
So it's exciting, exciting times. I hope we covered enough there for people to maybe get excited about an alternative way. Okay. Um, so everybody that's watching this that wants a new direction, obviously you can reach out to myself. Also, I'm going to put the details of Sam, her contact details, will actually be in the course as well when I eventually publish this to a course on Udemy. This will, I think, I may well send this out as just a video on YouTube as well, maybe even Facebook in a couple of our private groups.
Mm.
Chronic Solutions. You can come to Chronic Solutions on Facebook, find us on there, and you'll be able to watch this. Okay. So, Sam, anything else you'd like to add for people that's going to help them break free from where they are to where they want to be?
Yeah, if I think this is all about, if you have the desire and if you want to live your life and it's not happening right now,
Mm,
then it is about reaching out to those that have done it, been there, or have new information. Get curious,
yeah,
be excited, and know that there is another way. There's always a way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Good stuff.
Mm.
Sam, I've looked forward to this.
Yeah, it's been
Exciting,
great.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting.
What's
Really
what's uh, what's
exciting.
new in what's new in the future for you before we do go?
Oh, well, without getting too woo woo,
Okay.
um, I my life has opened up many things. So in doing all of this work, I have been studying about meditation and coming back into the self, and how stilling the mind from our busy lives, and really exploring that part of wellness, especially as I'm now in a perimenopausal state now. So my body is changing yet again, and listening to that. So I am not just working with women, but mostly the people that come to me at the moment are women who are in their older years and struggling.
Okay.
So we're doing wellness retreats down in Devon,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and being really opening up to the ancestry line. It's about
Okay.
healing ancestry lines
Nice.
of
Okay.
mothers, grandmothers, and all the weight that you have carried for them without knowing. And doing
Interesting.
that with lots of sound healing and singing and moving and organic food and things like that. So yeah, we've got our next one is September.
I'm excited for you, Sam.
Thank you.
It's great. It's been an exciting journey, isn't it? And it's nice to catch up
Yeah.
again. Do appreciate you taking the time to
Oh,
do
you're
this video.
welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.